You like New York, right?
It's the Big Apple.
That is factually correct.
I was just here last weekend with one of my daughters, my daughter Emma. We saw The Lion King, which was just absolutely incredible. And then a couple weeks before that, I took my other daughter Reese, and we saw the Aladdin, and it was cool.
And you've been spotted going shopping with your daughters too. Is that true?
I don't have to reveal that.
Okay. We don't want to waste a lot of time asking you if you're actually thinking of running or just toying with the affections of the American people. Which is it?
Maybe a little of both.
A little of both. Why would you be doing this if you weren't seriously thinking about running?
I wouldn't be. Well, I mean, look, seriously, the reason is that I think Ohio's a microcosm of the country. The way that things have gone in Ohio is something that should be studied. If I run, I would employ what I did there as president. If I don't run, I think people can study it, look at it, and learn from it, and to be a more effective leader, to be direct about it.
A friend of yours suggested to me the other day that he had heard you say that you would only run if angels came down and spoke to you and told you to run.
So I can't believe that Mitt said that to you. But, the answer to that is making a decision about running is in many respects deeply personal.
Yeah.
Look, it's family, it's friends. Can you win? But it really is, what's my purpose in life? Is this what I'm supposed to do? And I want to get a sense of that. And I don't want to go any deeper than that because I just think people have a hard time with just that in and of itself. But it is not just something you do flippantly. I'm not looking for a political career. I'm looking to do as many good things as I can. I'm not looking for sainthood or anything like that, but I am looking to do as much good as I can in my life as long as I'm here. That's what I'm trying to work out.
All right, so we want to talk to you about your past so people can get to know you just in case you run.
Okay.
So we're going to do a little bit of This Is Your Life. We're going to show you photos. Just tell us about yourself during that era. You can talk about the photo if you want, but really just more what was John Kasich of that time thinking about, all right?
Well, we're here.
Yeah. All right, the first one here, 1970, you and Richard Nixon. What were the circumstances and what were you like in 1970?
I was a lot more hyped up than I am these days.
Hard to believe.
Here's the thing.
What
could that be?
Elvis meeting Nixon.
Look, Elvis was there shortly before I was there. No, not the same day.
Well, what's going on here?
Well, I went to see the president of Ohio State, tell him some things were on my mind. He said he was going to go and see the president. I wrote a letter to the president, offered him some thoughts, and then he invited me to the White House.
What were you like in 1970? How old were you and what were you like?
I was 18 years old. I was a first-quarter freshman, and I just had come out of McKees Rocks. And, McKees Rocks is a place where, you get taught to fight, to work your way up. And, in that town where wind blew the wrong way, people can find themselves out of work. And, I was pretty aggressive because that's the way it was when you were living in a town.
Last one about
like
this, and then we'll go to the next picture. Do you remember anything Nixon said to you?
I don't remember that exactly, but I saw him right after my parents were killed by a drunk driver, and he wrote a letter to my sister expressing his grief at the thought of what she was suffering, and it was amazing. And at that time, he told me, he said, you need to study foreign policy. It's really important.
Wow, that's incredible. Right. Okay, so that's a picture of you with one president from one era. Here's a picture of you with another president from another era.
Well,
That's 1990.
That's pretty good there.
1997, right?
Still a bad haircut.
So this is the signing of the balanced budget.
Yeah. Balanced
budget agreement. Todd, what was that period of time? You were one of Newt Gingrich's chief lieutenants back then in the House of Representatives.
Well, I worked. A lot of people say he has a lot of energy, and is he undisciplined or focused? I was the chief architect of that agreement. Yeah. I had spent 10 years of my life to get us to that point. I worked with a great team of people. We balanced the budget, got people to put aside personal ambition or re-election or whatever. We signed a deal, and it gave us a significant first balanced budget since man walked on the moon, a $5 trillion surplus that I never thought could be blown, and it was. And that's why I'm out pushing for a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution, and, by the way, having some success.
In the period of time before, now when you were in Washington, before you went back to Ohio, was this the high point in terms of achievement for you, in terms of substance and politics?
You mean in terms of politics?
Yeah, in terms of, yeah.
Well, that occurred just about the same time I was able to work to limit production of the B-2, and that was another unusual accomplishment. I would say that was pretty good, but not as good as the fact that it was soon after that I married my wife.
Let me ask you one last thing about this picture. Who is easier to work with, Bill Clinton or Newt Gingrich?
Newt's my pal. And one time I told Newt, I said, Newt, I won't be your sycophant. And he looked at me and he said, but I like sycophants.
All right, 1999, Can you name everybody in that picture? Go ahead.
Wow.
Name them all. Just rattle them off.
Lamar's in there, Elizabeth Dole, Alan Keyes, and Gary Bauer, and I don't recognize who's right next.
That's your opponent, Steve Forbes.
Oh, Steve Forbes.
Sure.
Yes,
So
yes.
what were you like?
Looks very good right there.
Yeah. What were you like as a presidential candidate? Again, don't talk about the campaign. Just what was the mindset of 1999 John Kasich, presidential candidate?
I thought I could win, and I would run as hard as I could, trying to make a dent in the wall, and the wall wasn't moving, and it was very difficult. But you know, since I've been to South Carolina, been to New Hampshire, I'm actually starting to get a couple really good memories that somehow I'd lost sight of, because it was extremely difficult. And when I dropped out of that, I also left Congress and went out into the private sector, did a lot of things, including becoming a very big television star.
So all right, let's look at another one from 1999.
Here we go. More 1999. This one's specifically for New Hampshire. A man trying on some shoes right there.
Remember that day? No idea.
No, I don't remember that day. What the heck was I doing there?
What was your best news story from your time campaigning in New Hampshire?
One of the best ones was, that's when I knew the end was near, as I was at a coffee in a kitchen talking to this woman. And I would do these little events in the house, and she and I were carrying on a great conversation. It was really terrific, and I thought, boy, I'm going to win this lady over. And she goes like this, looks at her watch, and says, you know, I've enjoyed talking to you. When do you think the candidate's going to get here?
All right, last one, 2001. Tell us about this, John Kasich.
Oh, boy. Those are my precious girls, all three of them. My wife, my daughter Emma, and Reese. And I think that's the day maybe when they unveiled my portrait, which hangs in the Budget Committee today. That was a lot of fun. It was really great. A lot of people wonder how that woman ever agreed to marry me.
What's the one-sentence answer to that?
You know, I'm fun.
I don't think anybody,
fun, 2 words.
I don't think anybody would argue with that. You like being a governor better than being a legislator in Washington, D.C.?
It's not that much difference, except the difference between day and night. Yes, executive experience, being a governor is fantastic.